On a really sunny day, what do? You go outside onto your red scooter and you go to the park to play by yourself because you're only 5 years old in 1990. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna have a good time. You just saw your uncle, your favorite uncle, Jim, as in Jimmy Williams, who married your mother's sister. Your mother's sister is your aunt. Your mother's sister's name is Karen, as in Karen Williams, born as Karen Moorhead, because your mother was born Marilyn Moorhead. So your aunt is Karen Moorhead. Your mother was born a Moorhead, as in like a big head, like some more, but maybe not more than that. And your mother's name is Marilyn, not to be confused with the country, no, the state, Maryland, in the east coast of the United States of America. But you were born and raised in Oregon. And here you are. You're having a good time, because that's what you do when you're 5 years old. But it started out that you saw your uncle. So I'm talking about myself. So I'm saying, hey, this is 1990. I was 5 years old. I saw my uncle. Every once in a while, my aunt and uncle comes by. It's my favorite aunt and uncle, since they're the ones that we see the most, because they live the closest to us compared to other relatives, because they live on the coast of Oregon, near the Pacific Ocean. They live in Warrenton, which is near Seaside and Astoria, and that's about an hour or two from where I was born and raised, in Forest Grove, which is a city near Portland, like an hour from Portland. Portland is the main big city in Oregon. Oregon is above California and below Washington, Canada. So here I am, and every once in a while I get to see my favorite aunt and Uncle Jimmy Williams. His name is Jim Williams, but you could also call him Woof. The Woof. Woof is the name of a cat that he had that lived for like 10 or more years, especially in the 1990s. I think the cat was still alive, but it's also a character that my uncle would do that was inspired from his own cat, Woof, and so he would play the character. So my uncle is a lot like Robin Williams, somebody who does a lot of different characters. It's like talking to yourself, but not really, because it's just something you do when you are around other people, and you do it to make people laugh, or to help people, inspire people, encourage people, and that's what my uncle did a lot. And Wolf was a person who said maybe dumb things or crazy things, or things that you wouldn't say, but it's okay if Wolf says it. And every once in a while you hear Jim say it, but Jim didn't really say it, Wolf said it. So it's like we're talking about something, and it's like, oh, how are you doing? I think you're doing pretty weird. I think, oh, you should get out of here. Oh, yeah. Shut up, Wolf. Stop saying that, Wolf. How dare you say that, Wolf? Wolf is saying a bad thing. Oh my goodness. But then, as a little kid, when we were younger, me and my siblings, when we were younger, we would laugh. We would think it's funny, because it's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe Wolf said it. Jim didn't say it. Our uncle, our Uncle Jim did not say it. Wolf said it. Wolf is imaginary, not real, but Wolf still said it. Wolf is the cat. So it's like, wow, the cat is with us. Jim's cat is hanging out with us in the car, or at the beach, or at their house in Warrenton, Oregon, which is near the beach, like a couple minutes or so from the ocean. And we would go there like at least once a year or twice a year. We would see them at least once a year, possibly twice a year. They would come during the summer and pick up at least one of us, or more than one of us, and take us back to their house for a weekend, like 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes longer. And we would hang out with them and have a good time doing different things like arcade, go to the lake, go to the beach, see a movie in the cinema, watch some, TV, and play some video games and board games and different things at the house, go on a walk, go out to the town, downtown or to a nearby city, and look around and go to stores and do different things. And that happened at least once a year. I think it happened every year where at least one of us went. I went almost every year, but there may have been a few years where only my younger sister went. So this is the year 1990. I want to tell you about my life. This is a video review on my life in a playlist called My Life. So buyers beware. Spoil alert on my life, but I don't think it really matters. But in case you didn't want to be spoiled, you should not watch this video. But I think it's really exciting if you want to know more about me, because I'm telling you about the year 1990 when I was about 5 years old. I think I was 5 years old. I was 5 years old in 1990, but this event that I'm talking about may have happened in 1990 or 1989 or 1991, but I always thought it happened in 1990, so that's what I'm gonna say. In 1990, when I was 5 years old, I saw my uncle. I don't remember seeing Karen, my Aunt Karen, and Uncle Jim. I remember seeing Jim, and he came to our house, our trailer, where I was raised, and he came inside, and I was playing with Tinker Toys, and then he started playing with Tinker Toys too, and I think he was playing with it for some reason. That's what I think, and he was making something like a boat, like a ship, like a tower or something really big. And I'm only 5 years old, so everything is big to me. And I'm on a stool because we're playing the Tinker Toys on the counter, which the counter is in between the living room and the kitchen in our house, our trailer. It's right there. We're playing Tinker Toys. I was already playing Tinker Toys, and then my Uncle Jim came, and I think he was playing too, and showing us, me and my siblings, like some tricks and trades of how to make better things with Tinker Toys or something. I don't exactly know what happened. I just remember that I was doing something with the Tinker Toys. Maybe I was making something, but then the next thing I know is that, my uncle's there, and then, like, something was being made out of the Tinker Toys, and it was big, like a boat, or a ship, or a tower, or something, you know, that was being made out of the Tinker Boys, no, not boys, toys, not boys, toys. It was being made out of the Tinker Toys, but who was making it, I don't exactly know, but I assume it was my uncle. And then the next thing I know, he's gone, he's not there, it's a sunny day, and I'm still with my Tinker Toys, but then I decide to go outside. And I remember that there was nobody around in the house, in my house, nobody. First I was there with the Tinker Toys, then my uncle was there. I don't remember anybody else. I'm sure there was other people, but I don't remember them. It was me with Tinker Toys, and then my uncle's there for a second, for some minutes, and then he was gone. And then after he was gone, like a couple minutes later, or maybe another day later, I'm like with my Tinker Toys again. It may have been the same day or a different day that I go outside, I go on my red scooter, and I go to the park. But then right at the corner where you turn you go down a road and you turn and you go down another road to go to the park where there's grass and swings and a basketball court where I got my nickname years later in 1999. Cool kid. I got my nickname there 9 years later or so. And that's a famous park. A famous park because it's the only park I went to for the most part. I went to other parks too, but that was the most popular park because it was the closest park. But as I turn at the corner to go towards the park, there's a little girl, and she asked me, "What's your name?" And I think I said Joey, but I said it very faintly, very softly, because I was shy, because I was 5 years old, but she was about 3 years old. She was always 2 years younger than me. Actually, maybe kind of 1 year younger than me, because she was born in 1986, December 2nd, I believe, and I was born 1985, February 11th, and her name was Tiffany Rochell Cumbo, and she lived 7 houses from me, and she lived there since like 1989 or so. So this may have been 1989, but most likely it was 1990. And here I am, 5 years old, going to the park on my red or maybe orange scooter. I think it was red and not orange. And I go, turn by the corner, but then she stops me by asking me, "What's your name?" I tell her Joey, and she's like, "My name is Tiffany. Let's play tag." Or she said something, or I'm not sure if she said something, but we started to play tag around her parents' car. It may have been her mother's car or her father's car, and she is on a little tricycle that's like black and yellow, or I'm not sure what the colors were for her tricycle, but I'm like going after her in this tag game, but it's like I'm Batman and she's Robin, and we're running around a car. I'm on the scooter. I'm on my scooter. I don't know if it's actually my scooter, but I call it my scooter. That's what I thought, that it was my scooter. And that's what we do as kids. We always want things around us to be ours, and that's what we say. "Oh, it's ours. It's our stuff." Especially when you're about 2 and 3 years old, everything is yours, even when it's not. And I was going around the scooter. No, I was going around a car, and she was going around on her tricycle. And then her mother came home, and she says to her mother, "Here's my new boyfriend." And her mother says, "No, she's he's not your boyfriend." "Yes, he is." "No, yes, he is." "No, he's not." "Yes, 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 he is." And then she goes inside. The mother goes inside, and I don't exactly know the emotions of Tiffany from that. Maybe she was okay with it, or maybe she was a little hurt, like, "How dare my mother says that he's not my boyfriend. He's a boy and he's a friend. Put the two words together, you get boyfriend." People who are not native English speakers do that. They say things like, "Oh, my boyfriend, this and this and this." Even if they're a guy, they're like, "Yeah, I have some boyfriends." In other words, guy friends, but they say boyfriends because they don't know a lot of English. So it makes sense. It's not the most worst mistake you can make in English to say, "Yeah, my girlfriend's here and my boyfriend's here." But it's a mistake to an extent, because it can be misleading to say, "Oh yeah, it's my boyfriend." If you're a guy and you say, "Oh, it's my boyfriend," you could be considered gay, as in homosexual, as in, "Oh, you like guys." and you want to be with guys instead of girls and marry a guy instead of a girl. If you are a guy who says, "Oh, I have a boyfriend," or "I have a bunch of boyfriends," but usually people can understand what you really mean, what you're really trying to say with that. That you're just really talking about your guy friends and not your boyfriends. Or if you're a girl and you say, "Oh yeah, my girlfriends." Through that is more understandable because that happens more often. That a girl is more likely to say, "Oh, I have girlfriends." And people are like, "Okay, you're not a lesbian. You don't like girls. You don't want to marry girls. If you're a girl, you don't want to marry another girl. You're just saying that you have other friends who are female, as in girls, as in ladies and women, as in the same sex, the same gender." But then you can also say, as a girl, you could be a girl and you can say, "Oh, here's my boyfriend," but that's a little less understandable. People can still understand you, but sometimes you just gotta be careful because they can think, "Oh, it's your boyfriend." If you're a girl and you say, "Oh, this guy is my boyfriend," they may think that it's romantic, that you love the guy more than just a friend. "Oh no, we're just friends." "Oh, you should have said he's your guy friend." But Tiffany Cumbo is my new friend when I was 5 years old in 1990, I think. Around that time, I become her friend, and she tells her mom, "Here's my boyfriend," because we became friends, and that's what you call a friend based on their gender, and then you attach the word friend to it. And her mom wanted her to make sure that it's not like a boyfriend. Maybe just a friend, but not a boyfriend. Maybe just a guy friend, but not a romantic boyfriend. And the mother goes inside. I think her mother's name is Teresa, maybe, or something. But the mother goes inside, and then we're still outside, and we're still playing. We eventually go back to my house, and I get out the wagon, and then I'm pulling Tiffany in the in our red wagon, and we go back to her house with some toys, and we go into the neighbor's house, the neighbor's yard. It was just like a white house, not the other house with the tall bushes, like the orange tan house, but the other house, space space 171, I believe, because Tiffany lived in the house number 170. I lived in the house 163, and the next house to me is 164, and you work your way up until you get all the way to 170. I lived in 163, and you go 7 houses and you get to 170, as in 170, and the next house is 171, and we go into the neighbor house and we bury some of my toys, which I should probably be upset, but I was excited, maybe because I have a new friend and we're doing something, and it doesn't matter what the something is. It's just, I get human interaction that's a little more than just the normal interaction I get with my siblings or my relatives, like, my aunt and uncle, or possibly other relatives too. But my aunt and uncle is the ones that I saw the most growing up. They came over the most, and their kids came too, sometimes, but not as much. But sometimes I would see my cousins, which were the kids of Jim, my uncle Jim, and Aunt Karen. They had 2 sons, Nathan and Alan, who ends up growing up with, that's what we do. I'm like 28 years old right now in the year 2013, and right now I'm in Saigon, Vietnam. of Asia, and they grow up as well. The the kids of my uncle Jim, they grow up, and Nathan has kids, and Alan is married and probably doesn't have kids yet, but that's usually how life happens. Things happen, some for the good and some for the bad, but it starts out simpler when you're younger, and that's how this story started, as a simple story where I'm playing with Tinker Toys. My uncle comes over and says hi, and then he's gone, and then I go outside, and it's sunny, and I imagine it to be like a Sunday, but it could have been any day, and it could have been in the month April, or maybe in the summer, but it was a sunny day, so I imagine it not to be like during the winter, like a winter month, or during the fall, or possibly not during the springtime. But it was a sunny day, and it could have been any day, but it was most likely in the summer of 1990, when I was 5 years old, that I go outside on my scooter to go to the park, but I meet Tiffany. We run around a car and play Batman and Robin, and then her mother comes home, and she says, "Oh, here's my new boyfriend." I think that's what he said. She said. I think that's what she said. Or maybe she just said, "This is my boyfriend." She either says, "This is my boyfriend," or "This is my new boyfriend." If it's her new boyfriend, then I'm gonna be a little jealous and ask, "Who was your old boyfriend, Tiffany?" Because I began to become jealous later on. For the rest of my life, as I got older each year, eventually she started having other boyfriends. Not to say that I was her boyfriend, but at different points in my life, when I got older, I started imagining her to be like my girlfriend, or I started liking her, especially when I was like 8 years old. I started drawing some pictures where I marry Tiffany when I grow up, kind of thing. And I started thinking about those things when I was about 8 years old, and the idea kind of stuck with me for like a few years, but it was mostly there when I was 8 years old, I think, in 1993. That's what I remember. As far as I know, it was probably 1993, when I was 8 years old, that I was drawing the pictures and thinking about marrying her. But the other years, I wasn't thinking about it as much. The idea kind of started slowly creeping up inside of me over the years, and escalated to the top of the peak of the mountain in 1993 is when I thought about it the most, but then it started going back downhill after that, until 2003. Here's a spoiler alert, a major spoiler alert. Stop this video if you don't want to be spoiled. In 2003, Tiffany Cumbo dies, and I don't exactly know why she dies. To this day, it may have been an overdose of asthma. Did I say asthma? I mean, like Advil, like Tylenol, some kind of drug related thing. It may have been drugs, or it may have been pain reliever. Maybe she had a headache, and then maybe she took too much pain reliever, like Advil or Tylenol or something, or maybe she was taking drugs, or maybe she also had an infected scar below one of her eyes, maybe, or it may have been a murder or something. I have no idea. I don't think it was a heart attack. I was told it was an overdose of Tylenol, but I don't really know what really happened. But it was in the year 2003, and I was like 18 years old at the time, and she was 16 years old, and she was gonna turn 17 that year. turned 17 years old, I believe. But then she died, and I was gonna talk to her that day. The last day, I did see her and I high-fived her because she was going to my high school at the time, the Forest Grove High School, and I high-fived her during like around lunchtime. Is the last time I saw her on that day. It was like the 4th of April 2003. It was a Friday, and I high-fived her. It was around lunch, and at the time, I think I had a class of with where we learn how to take care of kids, like a child care class where you learn how to be like a teacher or a care provider for little kids that are around like 2 to 5 years old. And then eventually she was taking the class too, or something. I was taking the class, and then she was taking the same class maybe, but at different times. So we weren't like ever in the same class together. Which I always wanted that to happen, but I think it never happened. It didn't happen. Okay, yeah, it didn't happen. But I saw her, I high fived her, and I was gonna hang out with her maybe that week, but it didn't happen, and maybe I was like busy, or I thought I was busy with other things, and then I was gonna call her that night, but I didn't, and then she was babysitting, or she said she was babysitting, and I was rehearsing for a play at my church for my youth group in Hillsborough Community Baptist Church, the same place where I go to the youth group. It's like a Word of Life youth group where I end up going to a Bible college, a Word of Life Bible college after high school. In 2004, I go to New York, and a Word of Life missionaries helped me with a plane ticket to go to New York. And so right after high school, I was able to go to college, and then go to another college in West Virginia. And I did that right away by the help of that organization that has the Bible clubs that you go to, that I started going to since I was 6 years old, and that made me a better person in a lot of different ways, since it's been with me since I was 6 years old or so, and stayed with me through college. And I had a lot of different opportunities, including during my teen years when I was in the youth group, and I was able to be in a play, and it was a high moment in my life where I was in the play, and we did the play, and it was on a Sunday night, and it was like on like the 6th of April. So I see Tiffany on Friday, but then it's the weekend, and I don't see her, and we do our play at the church, our youth group play at the Community Baptist Church in Hillsborough, which is a city like a half an hour from my city, Forest Grove, like 10 miles away or so. And it was good, and people come up to me at the end of the play and tell me that I did really good with saying my lines, because I always imagined myself being an actor. But then I go to school, I go back to high school Monday. The weekend is over, we go back to school. I'm in an art class with one of my favorite teachers, Philip Tice. His last name is Tice. His first name is Philip. Mr. Philip Tice. He's an art teacher, and he may be from South America, like Brazil or something. His skin is mostly white, but a little tan, like Hispanic, but not Hispanic. So he might be from another country, like from South America, but I'm not exactly sure. I kind of forget. Maybe he just visited one of those countries at one point in his life, and now he's like in his 40s or 50s. I go back to high school on Monday, and they have announcements early, like before class starts. But class starts at 19. Did I say 19? I mean 7. 7 a.m. as in 7:55. And so we have announcements over the loudspeakers, like the radio kind of thing, and they say that Tiffany died. Tiffany Cumbo died, so my childhood friend died, and I kind of go depressed for the next couple months. But it's the kind of thing that makes me who I am, and things in your life can make you who you are, for the good or for the bad, but you can always turn things for the better and use opportunities and events to make you into a better person. And it doesn't matter what it is, it can make you into a better person if you think about it and pray and ask God to help you. Whether you believe in God or not, He's always there and He's always capable of helping you, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. He's always there. And I've seen it in my own life that He's always there and He does things even when you don't know it. He's still there and He still helps. And He helped me become a better person. He still is helping me. Whether you like it or not, you may look at me and say, well, based on the things I see in your life, I don't think He's helping you at all. But I will disagree, and I don't really care. I care about you, because I care about people since I was 8 years old, since I wanted to be a missionary, and I wanted to be the next Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan and other Michaels, and, since I wanted to help people since I was 8 years old. And I may have wanted to help people before that, but I didn't really think about that consciously, on a conscious level. But since I was 8 years old, I wanted to help people, and I still do, and I think about people, and I wanted to make the world a better place. But Rome was not built in a day. Rome was not built in a day, and you can't really just fix people or save the day instantaneously. You have to be patient. And my life has been a patient life for the most part in a lot of different events. And in life, you kind of have to wait and see what happens. Sometimes you have to get up and make things happen, but at other times you just gotta wait and be patient and see how things are played out. And life is really interesting because you never really know what will happen, and so you never really know when you will get your last opportunity to do something, to make something happen. Like, I did not know that it was my last time to ever see Tiffany Cumbo. But I will not forget the first time I met her in 1990 when I was 5 years old, and I'm on my red scooter and I'm going to the park, and she says hello to me and I say hello back, and she tells me her name. Her name is Tiffany. My name is Joey. We go around the car playing Batman and Robin. I take her places on the wagon, the red wagon, and I'm pulling her around, and we're bearing her toys, and she tells her mother, "Oh, he's my boyfriend," and her mother is like, "No, he's not your boyfriend." And we start playing, every day since that day, and we have a lot of different adventures, and I can tell you more about the different adventures that we have since the day I met her and until the day that she died. And it's a really sad story in one sense that she died, but not totally, because that is life. And in life, you're not always the writer, the author of life. Ultimately, God is, but at the same time, you should not blame God for all the bad things. Instead, you should think about all the things that He has done, because He's actually saved you from a lot of horrible things that you don't even know about, instead of making you go through horrible things, because you're dwelling on the negative things more than you think about the positive things that has happened, because we don't really know how worse it could have been in life, and it could have been worse, could have been a lot worse in so many different things in life, and we forget about that. So when you look back in your life, don't dwell in the past in a bad way where you think about, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened or that happened, but instead look back and say, that happened and this happened, and it kind of made me a better person, and it was interesting, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And if you ask me, if I were to go back in time and just change things, would I? And I sometimes want to say yes, I would go back and do this different or do that different, but at the same time, I try not to. I try not to say that. The older I get, the more I try to think that I wouldn't want to mess with the past, because every single thing changed me for the better. You can argue, oh well, but that didn't change you for the better, and that made you a worse person, or this made you do that, and with all the different things that has happened in my life. Nevertheless, I disagree. I'm gonna disagree to an extent. I will understand your different arguments about, okay, this little thing or that little thing, but in an overall picture, in the bigger picture of life, no, it's too dangerous, because you don't know what each thing would do if you alter it and change it. It's kind of like the butterfly effect. That's a film with Ashton Kutcher. He goes back in time. Somehow he figures out how to go back in time in the movie, in the film. I should review that, shouldn't I? Right? Tell me in the comments below what you think about this whole video and my life and the different videos I make. But maybe, yeah, tell me in the comments below or email me at originaloatmeal@gmail.com. But but you know that Ashton Kutcher in the movie The Butterfly Effect. In the movie The Butterfly Effect, he goes back in time and changes things, and then goes back to the present, and he finds out that things are totally drastically different, and then he's like, oh no, I messed things up, and then he goes back and changes more things, but he can't seem to fix things. And that also happens in the TV show, the cartoon TV show, The Simpsons, in like a Halloween special, where crazy things happen in the Halloween specials, and they kind of, like, Bart goes back in time and he like squishes a fly, or he kills a dinosaur or something, goes back in the present time, just like in the butterfly effect, and it changes things drastically, dramatically, and you never know. And that's exaggerated in like movies and TV shows that kind of show you those ideas that changing things can drastically change things for the worse, sometimes for the better, but also for the worse. And they exaggerate the point so that you will remember the point, and maybe it wouldn't be that bad if you just squished a fly, but it's there to make a point, to hit you in the head, so to speak. Theoretically, hypothetically, maybe not literally, but to hit you in the head in a way to make you remember, that you shouldn't mess with Mother Nature, you shouldn't mess with Father Time, you shouldn't mess with certain things, and you should be more focused, not in the past, but more on the present, and also in the future to an extent, but not too much in the future, because when you focus on the future too much, you trip on logs and things that are right in front of you. So it's most important to be focused on the present, to be in the moment kind of thing, but not too much in the moment, because you need to make plans for the future, and so you need to have the future in mind while you're living the moment, and you need to learn from the past. Don't dwell in the past too much where you're crying all the time, or worshiping yourself and saying, oh man, I did this in the past and it was so great, and I was so great, or something like that, like a positive in a bad way kind of thing of the past, or a negative kind of thing where you're thinking too negatively. So Don't think too negatively, as in don't think too bad or too good about the past. The past is what it is. You look at it long enough to learn the lessons, and then you move on and live in the present while you're thinking about the future a little, but mostly you stay in the present and focus on the present in your life. That's my advice. What's your advice? Tell me in the comments below. What do you think about my life? And have you had moments in your life where you meet like a best friend and you have those special moments? And was life better back in the good old days? Were they? I want to know. Let me know. Was life better back in the good old days?